It's Afternoon Delight Radio Show, your big bro and radio Clay Mercer here with you. More feel-good flavors on the way, but I had to take a special break right now. And as you all know, a few weeks ago, actually back on June 6th, word came out that the Chancellor of Elizabeth City State University was actually moving to another university for a new chancellorship. And it's big news. It's probably one of the biggest news stories we've had in a very, very long time. And of course, with my relationship with her, she said she wanted to come and talk to you, and we are happy to have her right now. It is a pleasure to welcome the outgoing Chancellor of Elizabeth City State University, Dr. Karrie Dixon. Chancellor Dixon, thank you so much for spending some time with me and the listeners. I also want to take this time now to thank you for Conversations with the Chancellor. It's been wonderful every month. We just have so many questions and we want to hear from you, but this is a great opportunity for you to talk to the listeners. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time here today.
Definitely. I wouldn't miss this for the world, Clay.
Yes, indeed. It's always special when you come into this radio station, especially now. And back on June 6th, I was riding in my car. I knew where I was specifically, and I was checking some news sites, and I had to pull over to the side, and it said breaking news, and another university was getting ready to announce their new chancellor, and something in my mind told me I need to continue to look at this. So I refreshed, and then I saw your name come across as the new chancellor-elect at North Carolina Central University. I'm excited for you. I think this is a great opportunity, not only for you, but for everyone at North Carolina Central. Yes. With everything that you're comfortable talking about, just kind of go through the process of kind of when this all kind of began, where the opportunity was there for you to become the new chancellor at North Carolina Central.
Well, Clay, first of all, this was not an easy decision. It really was not, because I have grown so attached to the Vikings. Mm-hmm. And, over the last 6 years, it's just been amazing. The people, the work that we've been able to do, all that we have accomplished has just been a blessing. Mm-hmm. And so I am truly grateful for the opportunity to serve as chancellor at Elizabeth City State University. And I have to say, when I started here, I had never been a chancellor before. So I came into this eyes wide open, trying to figure out exactly how I was going to serve this university and this community. And so over the years, I've learned a lot about myself, a lot about my leadership. I've learned a lot about the university and how much it means to the people of northeastern North Carolina and to this entire region and the state of North Carolina. And that's how it should be. A higher education institution, a constituent institution of the University of North Carolina System. Elizabeth City State University has so much to be proud of. And I know we went through some challenging times, for a few years. And but at the end of my tenure, I can say Elizabeth City State University is thriving. We have national rankings. We have a signature aviation program. We have academic programs that are quality programs. We have affordability with NC Promise. I can go on and on and on. And so it's so exciting. So I say that to say it was not an easy decision. One thing that I have never seen before in my 23 years of being in higher education in North Carolina is that we had 3 of our HBCUs vacant at the same time, or posted rather, because of retirements. And we had our flagship institution is still open as well, UNC Chapel Hill. And so to have 4 institutions open at the same time, of course, there's a lot of buzz around that. There's a lot of buzz, who's going to be the next leader of these institutions. And, over the years, I've been approached about leadership at other institutions, but I knew that there was still more I had to do here at ECSU. So I did not embark on those opportunities at that time. But it was something about this cycle where I felt as though the foundation has been built at ECSU. And when I started, you heard me say over and over, we must build the foundation for sustainability of the future of this great institution. And as I was reflecting on that through the months of January, February, March, April, I thought about it. We've accomplished a lot. The foundation is there. Now it's time for the leverage to take place for us to go forth and continue to do great things as an institution. And so, there was some interest. I was nominated for all of the vacancies, actually. And from what I understand, I was nominated several times for all of the vacancies. And, when you're nominated, the search firm will contact you. They won't tell you who nominated you, but they will contact you. And so I was contacted several times and had conversations, several of them, and decided that I had a true interest in North Carolina Central, and that was going to be the one that I was going to inquire more about. And so I did that, and in that process learned more about the institution, about the opportunities that it presents as far as leveraging what has already been built there, and making it even more grand. And the interesting piece for me is that I worked at the UNC System office for 10 years as Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs. So none of these institutions are a stranger to me. And I have worked with all 17 institutions within the UNC system. And so I knew Elizabeth City State. I knew North Carolina Central. I know all the other campuses. And so just putting some things together and figuring out what makes the most sense for me. And it took a lot of prayer. It took some decision. It took some conversations with my family. And I decided to continue on with the conversations, and that led up to June 6th. And on June 6th, now I did not know that I was going to get the job, because the way things work in the UNC system is that the Board of Trustees will nominate 3 people unranked. Mm-hmm. And those 3 people unranked go to the president of the system. The president of the system identifies the person he wants to nominate to the Board of Governors for consideration. So this happened a couple of days before June 6th. Wow. So as everybody else was watching, I too was watching live in a green room, waiting for the vote to take place. And I was in Durham on Central's campus, and this is routine. That's how it kind of works. And when they said my name and I was in the green room with my family, of course, we were like, oh, yeah, hey, it's you. And so then I knew, okay, it's time for me to go out here and make a speech. Yeah, wow. And so that's kind of that's the behind the scenes things of how that works. So though there was a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, it was not official until June 6th. And so I was, hopeful that I would be the chosen candidate. But you have to go through the vote. Yeah. And the Board of Governors are the governing board with the authority to determine who will serve as chancellor at the constituent institutions within the UNC system. And so it was wonderful. I walked out there on stage, and the crowd went, crazy.
Standing
as far
ovation
as
from what I
could see. It was wonderful. The energy was great, and I was practicing the little eagle sign before. I wasn't getting it quite right, so I told the students, I said, "Oh Lord, if I go out there on stage, I don't know if I could. Am I doing this right?" And so that was really fun, and so it was a great reception. And I spoke with the media for about 45 minutes, different TV stations and radio stations, newspapers. And then I went out of that room into the reception, where I was able to greet the alumni, the staff, the faculty, the community. So I ended up taking pictures with everyone. I had a long line of pictures. I probably took pictures for about an hour, but it was good because I was able to meet everyone and they get to know me. And so that was great. And my family is excited. They're very ecstatic. We have lived in the Triangle area for a while until moving here to Elizabeth City for the last 6 years. And it was really good. It was bittersweet. And, as I think about my time at ECSU, That was emotional. As I talked to alumni, I talked to my trustees, I talked to board members, board chairs, I talked to our student leaders by phone. I called every single one of them individually.
Wow.
Yes, it took hours.
I believe it.
But it was an emotional time, and I got to express how thankful I am to them for entrusting in my leadership at Elizabeth City State University, and also encouraging them that the foundation has been built and we're everything is in place for you to go forth and continue to do great things.
Yeah. It's the Afternoon Delight Radio Show. Yours truly, Clay Mercer, sitting with outgoing ECSU Chancellor Dr. Karrie Dixon. And Chancellor, it's good to go behind the scenes. It's really eye-opening to kind of hear how the process goes. And as you talked about the process, it just makes me think about the support that you have received from the UNC System, including UNC System President Peter Hans, as well as many others who just really believe in what you are doing. And that's got to make you feel really good as you continue your career as a chancellor.
Yeah, it does. But, anytime that you go into the situation of uncertainty, you have to build that trust in knowing that you're going to make all the right decisions to the best of your ability to address the situation. And so they didn't know sending me to Elizabeth City State. Because remember, Clay, I came here in 2017 as part of a task force. Mm-hmm. And later, former Chancellor Conway decided to retire, which led to my appointment as interim. Mm-hmm. So I was interim for 8 months before I became permanent. So it's a process, and I knew that I needed to get the stakeholders on board with the vision. I knew I needed to build trust with the legislature, the North Carolina General Assembly, with the system office, to let them know, hey, Elizabeth City State, we're moving in the right direction, and we are going to accomplish some things that we never even thought we could accomplish. And all of that coming to fruition has just been very reassuring.
Oh, yeah. And talking a little bit more about the time when you came in, that 2017, 2018 period, difficult times for the university. A lot of rumors, a lot of worry from alumni and everybody in the community.
Of hope.
Very much so. Yeah. Just speak a little bit more about that, how challenging it was at that time. And again, to see the growth of where it is right now, it's almost like sunset to sunrise. It's just a totally different situation than what you began with.
Yeah, it was very different for me as I think about it, because I was looking at ECSU from my window in Chapel Hill. And I say that because Chapel Hill is where the UNC System office was at the time. And it's different when you look at an institution from the window of your office, trying to understand what's happening, and then to be on the ground, meeting the people and hearing the people. Totally different perspective. And so when I came to Elizabeth City and was on the ground here, I realized how important this university was to this region, and how important it was that we do the right thing, we be in the system office. And at the time, I wasn't interim. I wasn't even thinking about being the chancellor. I was just trying to figure out what was happening and how we could address it. And so that led to my passion of saying, okay, we have to do something. This university is a jewel. We have to do something to turn it in the right direction. And a lot of that was the result of 60% enrollment decline. There were some other issues. There was some unstable leadership. I was the 5th chancellor in 5 years. The 5th in 5 years. That's not stable. Yeah. And so, those types of things are things that will, show reason for people to doubt or to lose hope or to think that perhaps we should just give up.
Correct.
And so I wanted to do something different. I met with alumni, and, it was an interesting time because alumni were skeptical of me.
Very much so.
They were like, oh, who's she coming from? The system office from Chapel Hill. Yes. She's coming to shut us down and change the name and all these other things that I heard. And I said, what? I was thinking, that's not why I'm here. I'm here to figure out what's happening.
Correct.
But, I began to talk to alumni to reassure them. I value trust. I value communication. And that's what it took. And, they were skeptical. But once they started to see the things that I was putting in place, to see the results, then that trust became, built and earned over those years. And I'm grateful for that. And so I was just on the front end, really trying to do the best thing and wanting all of us to wake up every morning and think about what is the best thing, the right thing, the strategic thing, the intentional thing that we can do for ECSU to bring this institution to the point in which we see it today, thriving for the future generations, so much history and legacy right here. It deserves to be the best, and it is. And so I was just really happy and grateful to be a part of that.
Your legacy is solidified here at Elizabeth City State University. And since, I guess it was April of 2018, I guess is kind of when everything really got going.
That's the interim, when the interim started.
Yeah, and so when you look at that period of time to where we are now, ECSU has grown in leaps and bounds, and we just talked about it, from its enrollment, partnerships, funding, but it takes a team to make that happen. And over these years that you have been the Chancellor of Elizabeth City State University, I know that there are many that you want to thank. And I want to give you some time, and I know you're not going to be able to name everyone, but I know that there's a few names that come to mind in between this time that has helped you kind of build and help ECSU get to where it is right now.
Yeah, it takes a team. And when I started here, I never said I. I always said we.
That's correct.
And us. Because it was going to take all of us. It was going to take the alumni. It was going to take, the administrative team, the faculty, the staff, the students, the community to really come together and say, we are going to do the right thing for Elizabeth City State University. And bringing all those people together, all of us with the same vision and mission, really showed the results that I was hoping that it would show. And when I think about those who have been so important to the critical turn in the right direction that the university has taken, there are many. I stand on the shoulders of giants. Chancellor Conway was an amazing man. He and I knew each other over 20 years back in our NC State days. Wow. And his wife, Michelle, still lives here in the community. And former Chancellor Jenkins and just all the former chancellors and Mickey Burnham, I learned a lot from. I first met Gilchrist when he was on the Board of Governors, and Stacey Jones, and I can go on at Becton. Yes. And, there were just so many that, you learn from, you see what they were able to accomplish, and you take it to the next level. And so I stand on the shoulders of many. And, it was remarkable also, it felt, to be the second woman to lead ECSU. So that was wonderful. But putting a team together is very important, because one thing about the chancellor position is you have to make tough decisions. And the tough decisions weigh on you. They weigh on you from the standpoint of the human side of what you have to do to make decisions, whether that's with personnel, whether that's building a team. And then you also have the leadership side of making the tough decisions, getting the data, understanding what you're dealing with, and making the right decision, even though it may be tough and even though it may not be popular. So those types of things, you go through an emotional roller coaster at times in leadership. That's why it's important to be an authentic leader, because you have to be yourself and you have to go with your gut. And one prayer that I say every day is, Lord, give me the spirit of discernment to know who's for me and who's against me. And a lot of that prevailed itself. And so I am just very grateful and thankful that God has done a mighty work during my tenure here at Elizabeth City State. I'm very grateful for the team that I've put together. And, some of them have gone off to do other things, and some of them have remained. One in particular, Alan Goodson, has remained since day one, and he's still here now serving as Chief of Staff. And Provost Ward, Farrah Ward, is absolutely amazing. My executive assistant, Sandy Powers, is amazing. Gwen Sanders retired, but she was great. Derek Wilkins, he was my chief of staff and he retired. Carson was wonderful, and Carson went on to do great things in Charlotte, and so it's just been so many. Gary Brown, I can't forget Gary Brown. Gary Brown is absolutely amazing. He's gone off to do some other things, and with my team, I tell them, and I've told them, I don't want to hold them back. I want to be able to provide leadership for them, lessons learned, other things that they can develop and themselves and grow and go off and do great things. And they have really done some really, really great things, and I'm excited about the future that they hold. And I feel as a leader, that's my responsibility, to make sure I expose them to opportunities, professional development, so that they can reach their goals. And I tell women all the time, I am ready to pass the baton. I am one of those when we shatter the glass ceiling, I'm not trying to put it back together. I want it to stay open and pull the rest of you through. Because we have to help each other and build a pipeline, and also groom and mentor and sponsor those who have great futures ahead of them, because higher education is going to need it.
You talked a little bit about the time that you've been chancellor here at ECSU. You've learned a lot about yourself. I want you to expand upon that and talk a little bit about what you have learned and what you feel those lessons will help you as far as your new chancellorship at North Carolina Central.
Well, one thing that I've learned, I had to get some tough skin because, one thing that you don't know is that, whenever you're in leadership, you have to be able to deal with criticisms, deal with things that are not true, deal with things that people just sometimes want to say just to hurt you. And so I've had to learn not to take it personal. I've had to learn that that's just how some people are, and that's how they, thrive within, themselves by making things up and saying whatever they want to say. And it's fine. And I respect, that people have their own opinions. I respect that people have their own views. And like I said, when you make tough decisions, they're not always popular. But as long as you have the information that's needed to make that decision, and you make what's in your heart a fair decision, then you're going to be okay, and you're going to sleep okay at night. And I had to learn that part of it because, I've dealt with very challenging situations in my role as vice president at the UNC System, but that's working with 17 institutions and over 250,000 students. So to be in a more intimate space of one institution, it was more direct. And so having to address those things, but still encourage the dialogue, the conversations. That's how you work through things, right? You just can't throw rocks and throw tomatoes, you got to work through them. You have to talk through them, because sometimes you don't get all sides. And most of the time, you only get about 5% of the truth. So you got to kind of work through that too. So, being a leader, it's a 24/7 job. And I'm just grateful because I'm able to show my daughters that. I've had to talk to my daughters, especially with social media. My Cameron will call me. She's like, "Mom, they said this about you on social media." I said, "Cameron," I said, "you have to realize everybody's not going to like you, and you have to be okay with that." And I said, this is what I've been trying to teach you. And so, it was definitely an opportunity to show what that's like, and to show that you're going to be okay. Because we don't live in a world where everyone likes you or loves you. We live in a world where you may have some that like you today, and then they may not like you tomorrow. It's all about the decisions that you make. It's all about their perceptions of you, and you got to get past that. And you have to make up your mind that it's not going to defeat you. And so I think that was like the most interesting piece of my development and leadership is I had to be comfortable with who I am as a leader and not let anybody take that from me. You can criticize it. Okay, that's your opinion. But as long as I felt like I did the right thing, I had the right information, I made the right decision, then I will sleep well at night.
Yeah, I love that. It's Afternoon Delight Radio Show. Yours truly, Clay Mercer, with the outgoing Chancellor of Elizabeth City State University, Dr. Karrie Dixon. I'm loving this conversation. This is probably one of the more free-flowing conversations that we've had whenever we've done conversations with the Chancellor, but this is a good time for us. And you talked a little bit about the family, and I know they're ecstatic. I know they're happy about your continued growth with your chancellorship. And talk a little bit about how important family has been to help you through some of the challenges of being a chancellor.
Oh, it's very important. You know, I went to some professional development programs prior to becoming chancellor. This is when I was trying to figure out, do I really want to do this? And I even I lead a seminar at the national level, and it's titled, So You Think You Want to Be a Chancellor? And so that's being real. That's having a real conversation about what it's like. And I think sometimes people see the waving of the hands, the people, the picture taken, but they don't see what happens behind the scenes, what the everyday grind looks like. And you can be attracted to what you think you know or see with the, hi, I'm the chancellor, good to see you all, versus, okay, I got to get this done. I got to do this. I got to be in the grind. We got to make sure we're doing this as X, Y, Z, deadline, everything. And so that's why I have this seminar where I say, so you think you want to be a chancellor, what that looks like, because you go from being who you are to living in a bubble. And that's what it's like, is living in a bubble. And one thing that I had a conversation about with my family prior is I said, if I pursue this, not only will I be the chancellor, but you will also be a part of this, because everything I do, you will be looked at in the same way. Sure. And, having this conversation now, when I started at ECSU, Corinne was 7. Cameron was in 10th grade, so she was 14, about to turn 15. Cameron actually got her license here in Elizabeth City.
That's outstanding.
Yes, so she went and took her test and got her license when she turned 16 right here in Elizabeth City. And so these are memories we'll never forget. Correct. Things we'll never forget. But as I told my family, you have to realize that you represent me as chancellor, and you represent Elizabeth City State University. So it's not just me, it's all of us together. And I actually equated it very similarly to the church. When you have the pastor and the first family the first lady, all those types of things. And I said, those are types of things that are real, and this is what you should expect. And so, we had to work through some things. A lot of being a first-time chancellor is very eye-opening. Things that I have learned during this 6-year tenure that I know I will do or not do in this next chapter. And it's just a process that you go through and learning who you are as a leader and what that looks like. But it was difficult for me to go out to eat sometimes. I went to dinner, took my daughter and one of her friends here in Elizabeth City, and it was difficult because I was having so many conversations with people coming up to the table that I wasn't able to be attentive to them. And my daughter was like, Mom, is this going to happen every time we go out to eat? And, and I'm the type person where if somebody's talking to me, I'm going to talk to them.
Sure.
I'm approachable. I'm a friendly person, and I don't want anybody to feel less than or unvalued. So I always give my attention to whoever approaches. But that was a situation where Corinne was like, Mom, are you really good? I thought you were talking to us. You're talking to everybody else. So, those types of things were quite interesting to experience. And we learn from those things and we grow from those things. And they know that their mom is one that is a people person. And they know that when we go somewhere, if I see a Viking, it's going to be like, oh, hey, Viking pride. They're like, Mom, really?
Wow.
So.
Yeah, a lot of growth all the way around, obviously. Yes. But it's been good growth. And again, your life changed, obviously, when you made that decision to become a chancellor. And I think it changed for the best. So, as we look into the future, the transition, talk a little bit about what we can expect and what your duties are up to this point now until you make that full transition to North Carolina Central.
So the transition has been a whirlwind. Like you said, this happened on June 6th. And, as I was talking to my trustees and my student leaders, one thing I said, the timing is not ideal. It is not ideal because the faculty's gone, the students are gone, and I don't really have a chance to say goodbye. And that is what has been most concerning for me. It's a great opportunity. I'm excited to go lead NCCU, but I also have grown so close to the Viking family that there are people that are popping up in my head that I'm like, oh, I didn't get to give so-and-so a hug goodbye, or I'm not going to be able to say something to this person. Thank you, for all that you've done. I won't be able to do that in person. So I've had a lot of text messages. I've had a lot of emails that I've responded to, but I'm just such a people person that there are people in my mind that I would just love to say, thank you for supporting me while I was here. And I just don't think I'm going to have that opportunity. And so, as I mentioned, with this happening on June 6th, I am supposed to report to North Carolina Central on July 1. Okay. So that only gives me about 3 weeks. Yeah. And so the transition is going to be very quick. I am focused on closing out some things that we need to close out, some events, some conversations that I need to give some direction to as the interim takes the seat on July 1st. And so I'm really focused. I have like a list of things that I need to do in addition to pack. Yes. I'm not even packed.
You haven't even packed yet. Oh, my goodness.
No, I haven't packed. I got to pack my office. I got to pack the residence. There is still a lot to do. So as I think about the next few weeks, it's going to be just a whirlwind. And we have Board of Trustees, and that'll be my last Board of Trustee meeting. And so it's going to be a lot. But we have a plan in place. Transition is there. I'm going to make sure the interim chancellor has everything that's necessary to continue to push the momentum, keep the momentum going, push the ball forward, continue to make progress. We have a lot of capital projects going up on campus, so keeping an eye on those things, making sure we're prepared for orientations this summer, making sure we're prepared to welcome our faculty, staff, and students back for the fall semester. So it's going to be a lot going on these next 3 weeks, and I just want to make sure that I am preparing the interim to be successful in taking the ball and pushing forward on the things that need to continue and the things that we need to keep focused on as we think about the future.
You talk about your time as a chancellor here at ECSU, so many special moments, and it's hard to sit back and say this, and you're not going to be able to name them all,
No.
But name a few that may come to mind, and whether that's on the athletic side, whether that is on the faculty side, and there's so much that's happened during your time. What comes to mind as some of the more special moments as a Viking here?
Well, there are so many. I think one comes to mind. I got my championship rings. The women's basketball team and the volleyball team brought me my 2 championship rings. Yeah. I'm so excited about those. For the CIAA, and even last year, the Northern Division Championships, for those teams. So I'm very excited about that.
Down East Viking Football Classic.
Down East Viking. Yes, I got my one win. Yes, Coach Hillier brought it through. Yes, I got my win for the Down East because I said, I need a win for the Down East, and I finally got that. I'm very happy for our football team in that regard. I'm really excited. As I think back, I think one thing that really made me excited was my first year when we grew in enrollment, and then growing over during COVID, we grew 13%.
Yeah.
And
where a lot of other universities went down,
the decline. We kept growing. And then also another important time was our national rankings. We were ranked number 1 HBCU in the country for social and economic mobility. Yeah. That is huge. Mm-hmm. And then I cannot forget the Mackenzie Scott $15 million gift.
Massive.
Unrestricted. I cannot forget that. I'll never forget that. And that was based on her looking at leadership across higher education institutions, and we were one of 3. And us being the smallest, but she saw the leadership, she saw the direction of the institution, she believed in what we were doing, and we got $15 million. And that was a game changer because we were able to do so much with that and even grow our endowment. And so these are things that are in place for the future. And that's what I mean about setting the foundation for the stability of the future and what that looks like. Because there are too many people like yourself, Clay, alums who have legacies of family members who have graduated from this institution, who've gone off to have great careers, and they had a wonderful time, and they're excited about their alma mater. And we need to make sure that it is here, thriving and strong for those generations to come. And so that was something I was really committed to doing, and I'm really excited about the work that has been done.
They always say it's important for you to leave a place better than when you arrived or when you came.
Yes.
And that is something, as we talk about your legacy, it is cemented. And we thank you so much. I'll speak for everybody, all the Viking alum, the current students, the faculty and staff, you and your team, for everything that you have been able to do for this university. It will not go unnoticed. I can guarantee you that. So thank you so much for being a friend of me and being a friend of this radio station. I got excited. I said, she knows communications. She knows what this is all about when you came in. I was like, yes, this is wonderful. And I know that our friendship will continue. So I can smile, and I know I'll be in contact with you. I usually turn my microphone off at this time and just let you speak from your mind and speak from your heart. And that's exactly what I want to do right now. Anything you want to say to the listeners, and especially the people you say you may not be able to get in front of and say anything to, if they're listening right now, I'd like for you to speak to everyone. Well,
I just want to thank everyone. One person that I did not mention, I want to make sure I mention now, is Dr. Jeanette Evans. Dr. Evans, I tell you, she was one of the first alums that I met when I started here. And when I tell you that woman loves ECSU, and she was not going to let me come in here and do anything that was going to hurt her institution. And she made that clear from the very first conversation I had with her. I said, woo, if I can get on her good side, I might be wondering, in a good place. But Dr. Evans is absolutely an amazing person, and she loves ECSU, and she worked here, and she still fights for ECSU, advocates for ECSU, supports ECSU. So I'm grateful to her. And there are many, many more. I mean, Randy, as I think about Randy and my meetings, with him and how he would interview me at the CIAA, miss him greatly. And just so many alums. Tony Lassiter, as he always says, Viking Pride 3 times. I could go on and on, but, and also the community, we have mayors, Betty Parker, an alum when I first came here, and now Kirk Rivers. And, so I am just really, really happy. And our city manager, Montre Freeman, and, just all the Vikings that really came to me and said, hey, we're going to do this together. We're going to work together. We're going to support you. I am grateful. Billy Reed has been amazing. As I'm just thinking about names that are popping in my head, and if I don't call your name, please don't charge it to me. I just, as they pop in my head, I've had so many people that have just been amazing support. And my partners, Jack Bagwell at COA, and John Maurice at MACU, and Keith Parker at ECPPS, and Teresa Watson at Centera, and the Coast Guard. And I mean, just everyone who has, and I've met with many of the rear admirals and working with the Coast Guard, and just everyone that has just been so supportive of the growth and the transformation of Elizabeth City State. My trustees, thank you, trustees, for your time and your service. Thank you for the years of believing in the vision. My board of visitors, the foundation board, for the support that you've given the university, and student scholarships and gap funding, and just everything that has really made us thrive. I am grateful to all of the chairs who have, the past chairs, the current chairs of those boards, the NAA, National Alumni Association. I always say Elizabeth City State has some amazing alumni, and they don't play when it comes to their university. So thank you to all the alumni. Thank you to the National Alumni Association leadership, James Cherry, and all those who have led the National Alumni Association and the National Alumni chapters. Thank y'all for what y'all do. And I'm just grateful to my team, to the community leaders, the chamber and the Elizabeth City Tourism Board, and just the Committee of 100, the Rotary. I could go on and on with so many, United Way, Bill Blake, all those who have really done an awesome job in supporting me and supporting ECSU. And I cannot forget our legislators who have always been there to support us and to make it happen, advocating for us on Jones Street, helping us to get the funding. Clay, we have never seen this type of funding and investment from the state of North Carolina that we see right now. Over $300 million in capital projects. This campus is going to look amazing as these new buildings go up and as we continue to expand, and just a wonderful opportunity. And Dr. Rawat, I can't forget about Dr. Rawat with aviation and the great things that he's doing, and our band Sound of Class with Dr. Boykins, and Dr. Swan with the University Choir, the provost and the academics. Academics is the core. And, my provost is amazing. And my CFO keeps us out of trouble and keeping us paying our bills. And Bob, thank you, Bob Tebow, for that. And Chip Lewin, who's our Deputy Chief of Staff, retired captain at the Coast Guard, has done a wonderful job in everything. And then I cannot forget Dr. Kevin Wade, ECSU alum, who has been leading our student affairs and our advancement. So it's just so many. I hope I didn't forget anyone. Let me see if I forgot. I hope I didn't. But it's just been so many people who have done some really great things for ECSU. And I'm just grateful and thankful that God gave me the opportunity, blessed me with this assignment to serve as chancellor here. And I know that things are going to continue to be great in Viking land.
Yeah, no question. And again, thank you so much for what you have done and what your team has done for this university. You are going to continue in Durham, and I know you're going to continue to do great things. I will keep my eye on you, and my phone is always available to you. You know that if you need anything, I'm there first thing. And
special thanks to WRVS 89.9. Yeah. Clay, you are awesome. Clay probably didn't tell you all this, listeners, but I gave him the Chancellor's Award at the athletics banquet. So he is the first recipient of the Chancellor's Award because he is absolutely amazing. But Sheila and Melba and Maya and everybody who works to make WRVS amazing, continue serving the community, continue supporting WRVS community. They need your support. This is your station for information and music, great music, I have to say. I'm going to miss you all, but thank you, Clay, and thank you for everything that you and your team have done. It's absolutely amazing. I can't do what I do without the strong team that you all have to tell the story, send the message, talk about the great things that are happening at ECSU. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, telling that narrative. There she goes with that teamwork theme again, and I know it's going to continue, Chancellor. Continued success in everything that you do, and I look forward to seeing where everything goes. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
And family, thank you so much for taking some time to listen to this exclusive one-on-one interview with outgoing ECSU Chancellor Dr. Karrie Dixon. If you missed out on any parts of today's interview, you can go to the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel and listen to it in its entirety. Stay with us. More of the music you love is on the way. This is the Afternoon Delight Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.